Starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today's webinar. My name is Lisa Riedel. I'm a marketing coordinator at Resorts and Lodges and Track Hospitality Software. And today we have Doug Kennedy presenting a webinar for us today. I'm super grateful. Kennedy Training Network President Doug Kennedy is the lodging industry's leading expert in lodging industry reservations sales, having conducted training for top-tier companies across all market segments for over 2 decades. His hotel clients have ranged from 5-star hotels as large as a Venetian Las Vegas at 7,000 plus rooms to small luxury inns such as the Castle Hill in Newport, Rhode Island at just 35 rooms. He has extensive experience in training non-traditional segments such as resorts, inns, lodges, and vacation rental companies. Over the years, he has conducted corporate-sponsored training for most of the major hotel brands, including Starwood, Wyndham, Marriott, Hilton, Intercontinental, and leading hotels of the world. His monthly hotel sales and guest service training articles inspired readers worldwide. And we're lucky to have him today here giving a webinar, so I'll let Doug take it away.
All right, thank you very much, Elise, and thank you to everyone who carved out time on a Monday to join us for today's topic, which is advanced reservation sales techniques for overcoming rate objections. So this is a webinar segment, as Elise mentioned, that we're doing every other month, exclusive for the clients of Track Hospitality Software, as well as Resorts and Lodges, and of course our KTN clients are, many of those, our KTN clients are clients that are shared. So I hope to bring value in the about 45-50 minutes we're going to spend together. This is a segment from my on-site training program of the same name. It is a little different in this webinar format where it's a one-way webinar, but we do this also as private on-site training and also private webinars for our clients with a smaller audience. But hopefully you'll see a lot of value in what we're going to cover today. So let's get right to it. So what is different about reservations today in 2017? If you joined me for the first webinar of the year 2 months ago, we looked at all the many changes today in today's era where there's so much information online prior to the person making the phone call. So years ago, they had a brochure, a rate card, they had a directory. Now they've seen rates, they also have seen virtual tours. They have so many different websites where they can shop. So what we're gonna look at in our focus in today's time together is another major change. Not only do callers have more information, but there are so many more rates, restrictions, stay restrictions, rate structures that have to be conveyed. And guess who gets to convey it? You, the lucky ones that have joined me today. So we have the most complicated rate structures ever in the history of lodging, and we have to explain these to the best educated consumers in the history of lodging. I don't know if the woman on the phone here, on the screen here, looks like someone you might be talking to. She's very bright, smug looking. She knows the price already, but now she wants to negotiate. She also knows what your competitors are charging. She has checked your rates out on OTAs, online travel agencies, or if you're in the vacation rental business, perhaps VRBO, HomeAway, Expedia, the listing sites. So what's different today? When she calls us up, it's a lot bigger challenge. Now, I'm going to take you back in history once again to the past. Doesn't seem like that many years ago to me, but time does fly the older we get. Not that long ago, rates were much simpler. When I started in the hotel business, working for the Marriott family in the early 80s, when I worked in hotels in New York, Connecticut, Miami in the mid 80s, when I started training in the 1989, and in the mid 90s when I started training vacation rentals. Actually over 20 years this year, rates were published in advance. So we knew that rates change according to the season. So if you're a ski resort, rates were high in the winter and the place was empty in the summer. If you were a Florida resort or a Caribbean or the southern Hawaii, perhaps if you're joining us from the Aloha State, you were busy in the winter and slow in the summer. So then of course our national parks areas, Montana, Maine, the northern, northeast US, you were busy in the summer and slow in the winter, but we knew there was a high and low season. Also, day of week. Traditionally, the resort business, it was the Friday, Saturday, and of course for our holiday weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then we all have the marathon, the balloon fest, the special events in our town or area. So confirmation, cancellation, and deposit policies were also much more straightforward and easy to understand as well. We usually had either a one-night deposit or a 50% advance deposit, and then you could cancel those up until a various number of days out in the resort business. So as I mentioned, rate cards were published in advance and printed. I remember hotels, were resorts that I worked at, people would call and a lot of the questions we would get every day, a lot of the calls would be, hello, can you please send me your rates? Or people would call up and say, can you send me your brochure and your rates? They would also get directories from our vacation rental clients. So I remember going into offices, and a lot of times they'd have me there right about the time the catalogs were being shipped out. There was usually stacks on a loading dock somewhere, a giant Pitney Bowes machine in a postage room. And everybody knew that about 5 days after that catalog dropped, that all of a sudden the phones would start lighting up because the rates were out. So that's kind of our summary. Now, the two major changes for hoteliers that caused all this to reinvent itself, our marketing executives all of a sudden had more access to better data. So we had a couple of things that happened around 1989, the same year I started in the training business. Smith Travel Research came out with what was called the STR, the Smith Travel Research report, the STAR report as we all know it. And this allowed hotels to look at the recent historical data. So they could go back and see how they did compared with other hotels and resorts in what's called the comp set. Then they also had the phaser report, which was looking forward into the future. This later was called, acquired by Hotelligence. There was Phaser and Tim's originally, and then TravelClick calls it Hotelligence 360 to this day. So we have trailing and we have future reports going out. Now, interestingly, if you read the VRM Intel magazine, which I know a lot of our vacation rental clients do, I've written about an article about how vacation rental is about to get access to this type of data. So you're going to see that coming out very soon from some very qualified sources. But anyways, that's what happened on our side. The other thing that happened on both hotel, resort, and vacation rental is reservation systems, property management systems evolved to make it easier to change rates en masse. In other words, if demand was up higher than we expected, booking pace, we could go into the system, do a few commands, and all the rates would be increased 5%, 10%. Now, some vacation rental property management systems, you still have to go unit by unit. And of course, in the hotel business, we were made much easier to what we call yield the rates. Now, on the guest side, all of a sudden, they had, of course, internet came out in the mid-90s. If you remember dial-up, zing, bing, bing, bing. And then you have, of course, wired internet with the Ethernet. My new computer didn't even have an Ethernet jack. And then, of course, wireless. And then in 2007, the advent of the smartphone. All of a sudden, people could search online. And when they did that, guests became more savvy negotiators. So we have the most complicated rates due to revenue management and property management systems. And we have guests who are more savvy than ever before to negotiate. All of that collides on your earpiece when you take those calls. So that's why I hope to have you get some advantages here, some tools to deal with these savvy negotiators. I'm going to share with you a couple of recent articles. These are very recent. This last one I think I found within the last month. In the New York Times, I subscribe on my Kindle. They say 7 steps to a cheaper hotel room. Tip number 6, make the call. Call the place you've chosen by Skype if you really want to save money. Tell them you're about to reserve a room with their hotel, let's say at hotels.com, and ask if they'll give you a discount for booking direct. Hotels typically pay 20 to 30% commission, so rationally speaking, they should be eager to split the difference with you. All right? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but hey, give it a try. That's what your consumers are being told. Also, Yahoo, which I like to read on my homepage on my smartphone when I'm stuck at the doctor's office or waiting to pick my son up from an event. And I get this here about January of, now this is dated January 6th, but I know this actually came out, this must have been a reprint I got this year. 7 travel tricks they learned in hotel school. And one of the tips I have highlighted for you, pay less for a room by calling the hotel directly at night. And so if you're getting that question, hello, are you on site? Are you in-house? Where are you? Now you know why. So this is what we're up against, better educated consumers that are smarter than ever, that have more information than ever before, that always want to do the negotiating with us. So in other webinars, we're going to cover the concept of selling the experience and not renting a room. If you were with me last year, this will look familiar. The hotel value pyramid model is what we use at KTN to remind everyone that we are not room renters, okay? We're not unit renters in the vacation rental business. We are actually selling the experience, an experience that's made up of the destination and location. Particularly in the resort business, the vacation business, people want to go to a destination and they pick a resort based on its location within that destination. The on-site services in the facilities, in both in-house, on property or nearby, and then the rooms or the suites. Now, in the vacation rental business, you also still have destination and location. You have amenities or services either in the home itself or in the community if that home is located in a community that might have shared facilities, and then of course the home or condo. So this is how we want to sell. We want to sell value before we talk about the room or condo or suite and put a price tag on it. However, this is what I see all too often when we do our telephone mystery shopping for our clients that have not yet purchased TrackPulse and don't have call recording. We actually have a team here in our offices that places telephone mystery shops posing as a guest, and we say, hey, I'm planning my vacation, can you help me? All too many people go out there and say, what are your dates, how many people, how many nights? Okay, here's the price. So they build their value proposition on a weak foundation. So I want to acknowledge that selling value over price is really the fundamental part, and we will address that in other webinars. We've already touched on it a little bit so far this year. But today we're going to get tactical, okay? So the strategy is we want to convince them to plan their vacation with us. The tactic is actually how we're going to get them to do that, okay? So that's where it's going to be very specific, and we're going to look at tactics to use in various rate scenarios. Not every scenario will apply in every call. Not every scenario will apply with every company or hotel on the call today, because some of you may have different policies than others. But I want to first explain the most important one that applies to everybody in hotels, every resort, every hotel, every vacation rental. Whether you're selling to individuals like we are today, most of us on the call, or in group sales where I do training for people selling to conventions and conferences, or wedding sales. We all get the question, why are the rates so much higher this time? Okay, if you see the woman in this photo, has she ever called you? All right, maybe she called you earlier today. Maybe she called you right before the webinar. Why is it so much higher? And if you're a resort, you're probably getting this right now when you have people starting to plan for July, early August, the last week in June, week of July 4th, maybe Memorial Day, maybe Labor Day. Why is it so much higher? Okay, now, does this look familiar? Oh, it's our busy season. Rates go up due to high occupancy. And some version of this is what I hear a lot, both in the telephone mystery shopping business and when I sit in office coaching reservation agents like you. I hear many of us politely explaining things in one version of this manner. This is the same thing that I said when I started out working for Marriott and I transferred over to the front desk from being a bellman. I said, oh, weekends are busy, so we charge more. All right. In the wedding business, why are the rates so much higher in May? Why do I have to spend more on a minimum food and beverage spend? Oh, May is a busy month for weddings. Why do we have to spend more to go skiing in February around President's Day or Valentine's Day? Oh, rates go up, right? That's what we're telling them, folks. But what are we really saying when we say, oh, the rate goes up due to high occupancy? We are defending capitalism. you might as well just go on to say, oh, why are the rates higher? Well, you see, that's because we have this thing called a revenue manager, and she actually pushes rate when there's high demand because we know we can charge guests more when a lot of people want to come, and that helps us improve our RevPAR, which is revenue per available room, which helps us increase ADR and occupancy so we can return an ROI for our owners. Oh, because it is capitalism, and we do live in the United States of America, right? Do we really want to go there? Do we really want to engage in a debate about capitalism in the call? Because pretty much that's what we're doing. Rate goes up because we can charge more, because we can. So that's essentially what we're saying, okay? And that's why you might have people saying, that's not fair. Do you have any discounts? I'm going to shop around. But I'm going to give you a new perspective that I hope you can relate to, and maybe will be a flash like the light bulb you see in this photo. The high rates are the normal rates, people. We do not raise rates. We lower them when it's low. We do not raise rates when it's busy. The July 4th is normal rate. Friday and Saturday is normal rate. May, Saturday night is the best time to get married. That's why that's our regular rates. We lower them at other times. Now, if you think about it, it is absolutely true, okay? We do lower rates. So instead of saying the rates go up due to high occupancy, I hope you're going to think of Doug Kennedy when you get this question, probably about 1 minute after the webinar in the very next call. Why is the rate higher? Oh, actually, during those rates, that's our more normal rates. You know, we do offer discounts whenever it's slow. Would you like me to check on the dates for you? Because we are so nice, we would love to help you find a lower rate. And guess what? That is just as true, isn't it? Ask your revenue manager that. Ask your marketing manager that. Is it a good thing to offer to check discounts for other dates? Absolutely. Because guess what? You're going to sell out July 4th anyway if you're at the beach. If you're a ski resort, you're going to sell out President's Day weekend, all right? So we want, and if you're in a festival or an event, you're going to sell out at that time. Are your dates flexible? Because let me check alternatives. We would love to help you come at a different time of year and save you money. That's why we have lower rates, to drive demand. Revenue managers are realizing we want to move to demand generation. We do that by lowering rates and offering specials and doing email blasts for hot dates. So it is absolutely true that we do lower rates for other dates. The rates do not go up during high occupancy. That is our normal rate. Okay, so I hope I've convinced you. Now let's build off that a little bit to what I call rate framing. All right, rate framing is where we mention the higher rates in advance to position the lower rates as being a good value. All right, now we want to say this room normally, now this is good anytime that you're selling anything other than your very top tier. So maybe you have them A, B, C, D rates, that D is the slowest and lowest rate for slowest season, A is the top rate for special events. If you're quoting B or C, say our normal rate is 400, but for the dates you're coming, it's available for 350, all right? So this positions that lower rate as already being a good value. And this is a good thing to do when someone says, well, why are the rates so high? Actually, this rate is a pretty good rate. This room could go for as much as 400 a night, but for your dates, it's available for only 300, okay? And by the way, if you ever shop at Amazon, they are the masters of slash, okay? Especially if you're Amazon Prime, which I am. Anything that you buy has that slash, okay? So you see the list price and then you see the actual price. This clock right here that I'm using to time my webinar, this clock costs $15.99. Do you know what I paid? About $6.99. But when I look at this clock, do I see a $6.99 clock? No, this is a $15.99 clock in my mind, because rate framing works, people. All right. Now, next up, why does the rate change? I don't want to have to change rooms. This is a scenario where now most hotels and most vacation rental companies quote a rate per stay. That is the newest trend in revenue management. So chances are, if a guest is coming for a week or for 5 days, you're telling them the total price for those 5 days. I'll just use an example here. I hope you charge more. But for 5 nights, your rate is $1,000, okay? Now, a lot of guests might say, okay, how much per night? And I know some managers want you to say if the rate changes per night, because that guest might call back and say, oh, I only need it for 4 nights. And they're thinking, well, if it's $1,000 for 5 nights, then that's $200 a night. So it would be $800 for 4 nights, $600 for 3 nights. But that ain't the way it works in vacation rental in hotels, right? Because we charge more on certain nights. So a lot of you may be instructed to tell guests the stay price and then also quote the per night. Or if you're only supposed to tell them the stay price, you may have a color that says how much for each night. When that happens, okay, what we want to do is quote the rates and not in chronological order, but rather mention the high rated nights first, even if they're later in the stay. All right. So I know that's a lot of words there. Let me explain it a little different way. All right. So what we want to do is we want to actually, instead of saying the first night it's 200, the second night it's 300, and then the third night it's 400. Okay. We want to say for the third night the rate is 400. Let me switch to the next slide. I actually have it here for you. For the third night of your stay, for the last 2 nights of your stay, the $400 rate applies. But for the first 2 nights, we can give it to you for $200. Aren't we nice? Now, doesn't that work a lot better than to say for the first 2 nights it's $200, then it goes up to $400. And then the caller says, oh, I don't want to change rooms. And then we say, oh, the rate goes up for the same room. What? Yep, the rate goes up for the same room because we practice revenue management to increase our RevPAR, to generate more ADR and occupancy, to return the ROI because it's capitalism. All right. So a better explanation is for the last 2 nights, the $400 applies. For the first 2 nights, the rate is only $300 or $200 as it may be. All right. So hopefully these techniques help so far to overcome this challenge that the rate changes per night or the rate changes more frequently than it did in the past. Years ago, you could say, oh, winter season is this rate, summer season is this rate. People didn't even question, all right? They knew that everybody wants to go to the beach in the summer. But now where you have rates change by day of week, by week, during the month, certainly by month, we want to use the techniques that we're covering here today. All right, now next up, I want to talk about this statement that we in reservations say a lot. We say check in availability. Oh, all we have left. Whatever comes out of our mouth next, when we first say all we have left, it is not sounding very good. It is sounding like leftover dinner, okay? So do not be that one that says all we have left. And instead, I want you to say, fortunately, what I have left. Now let's look at this in a few different contexts. It might be rate. So if you're checking dates and, you know, April comes and goes, early May is here, and all of a sudden you do that search now for July, and all you see are the top tier room rates. Some of us may have the tendency to say, oh, all I have left are my regular rates. I don't have any specials. Okay. So instead of saying all we have left and making it sound like leftovers, I want us to say, fortunately, what I still have. Okay. So when all you have left is all you have left, never say it's all you have left. We want to say, fortunately, what we still have. All right. So this first example is relative to rates when there are different rate tiers. All right. And so if you have seen that same room for the same date at a lower rate and now it's coming back at a high rate, do not apologize and say it's all you have left. Instead, say, fortunately, you still have it. Similarly, sometimes it is a rate category. Okay. So now we're checking availability, and guess what comes up? It's either going to be 1 or 2 room types. Okay. It's either going to be that top floor suite overlooking the view, okay, or it's going to be that minimum room with no view next to the elevator overlooking the parking lot, okay? And so what we say is checking availability. Oh, all we have left. So let's take the top one first. All we have left is the best. Sir, all we have left are suites. And the suite is 5,000 square feet, and it is $5,000 for your stay. But I know you sound cheap and poor, and I'm so sorry. It's all we have left. That's not what we want to do, right? So you never know. When you ever quoted a rate, the person's like, okay, fine, I'll take it. And you were shocked by how much this guest just paid. Remember, it is their money, not yours. I know, speaking from fact, okay, a lot of times the rates I hear my clients quoting, I would not be staying there, at least not for those dates at those rates. But it is not our money, it is their money. So if all you have left is the best, let's make it sound like it's the best, all right? So instead, fortunately, what I still have left, okay, is actually the best. This suite is amazing. And that's where we flip into sales mode that I will cover in future webinars. Tell the story. Imagine yourself entering that suite, and when you step out on that balcony, you will feel the fresh ocean breezes or the cool mountain air, and you will watch our colorful sunsets or picturesque scenery. You will see, okay, the deers munching on the vegetation, on the landscaping. You'll see the shark, no, not sharks. You will see dolphins playing. So fortunately, what we still have left is the best. Okay, instead of all we have left. Now, it's also kind of funny. I hear this a lot with regards to number of bedrooms. Oh, you just needed a 1-bedroom. You just needed a guest room. All I have left are 2 bedrooms. Okay, the person's like, hello, just me and my wife coming away for the weekend. Oh, all we have left is 2 bedrooms, sir. And I am so sorry because we do require you to sleep in both bedrooms. And we do bed checks, okay? So you can either set your alarm and switch bedrooms in the middle of the night, or you could split up. One could sleep in one room, the other could sleep in the other, or, you know, change halfway through your stay. But you do have to use both bedrooms, okay, because it's our policy. That's kind of what we make it sound like, isn't it? So instead of saying, all we have left are 2 bedrooms, okay, or all we have left are the best, and you sound cheap or poor, fortunately, what I still have left. All right. Now, let's talk about the opposite situation, because this happens to us too. We are selling by inventory that has been stratified and broken up to more room categories than in the history of lodging. Hotels used to have ocean view and island view, or mountain view and resort view, okay? But now we have broken that down, and we have the minimum room category. Now, a lot of times these are put on last sell. Okay, it's also the room your front desk people give to that Expedia or Booking.com guest. I know how it works. It's the room next to the elevator, across from the ice machine, near the swimming pool where the kids are screaming till 10 o'clock at night. It's the room overlooking the parking lot, okay, where we call limited view dumpster. And what happens is we say check in availability. Oh, all we have left. Now, if you're a vacation rental property company, I know you have that unit. It's that one that is quaint and beachy, okay? Or if you're in the mountains, it is rustic. Yeah, very rustic. It has burnt orange carpet. It has, you know, maybe a tube TV or at least a transistor TV. So all we have left is that. Now, in this case, what I want you to do, we do want to point out any glaring deficiencies in order to manage their expectation. We do not want to oversell that rustic or beachy or limited view. We want to let them know, just to let you know, fortunately what I still have left, now just to let you know, you did not have a view, okay? Or just to let you know, it is not our most updated, okay? Or it is a little smaller, okay? And it doesn't have a view, but here is what's good about it. Now, if you have me out for on-site training in the vacation rental business, I have everybody do, it's really a fun activity for me. I say, think of what you believe to be your least desirable property. in your rental pool, and then tell me something good about it. All right. So if you're in the vacation rental business, I recommend you do this on your own. Think of the worst property, quote unquote, worst properties, and then talk about what's good about it. Usually there's something good. Maybe it's the location, maybe it's that it has a certain view. Same in resorts, okay? There's probably that room that when the architect designed the hotel, she did not factor in view, or they squeezed in that extra room key, and it does have, you know, a restricted view. So let them know the room doesn't have the view, but here's what's good about it. All right, in vacation rental, I have people talk about what's good about it. So it could be that the location, it could be the view in a rental property. It's the interior that's deficient. So let them know what's deficient, but focus on what's good. Okay. And one thing we can always say, the best part is we still have it. And during this time of year, it is such a busy time here. There is so much to do. You probably won't be in that room much anyway, right, sir? And when you turn the lights off, all the guest rooms look the same. So be sure to position the the last cell rooms in a good way. Just make sure to let them know the glaring deficiencies right up front. Okay, everyone, we're going to move on to our next tactic. Next, we have discounts. Now, we do want to offer discounts when we have to, all right? However, be sure you do not offer discount unless you need to do so. Remember, it is the buyer's job, in this case the caller, it is the caller's job to ask for discount. It is your job to maximize the rate. This will create a price objection that might not have otherwise occurred. Okay, so I'll give you a perfect example. I've been a Sprint customer for 15 years. I have the Samsung 6. I'm actually waiting for the 8. I have both of my kids, who are one's in college student, the other's finishing his junior year, and my wife. We're all on four phones and a hotspot on Sprint. Now, I guess I'm dumb when it comes to being a customer. I'm a pretty good salesperson, but as a customer, maybe, you know, I feel sorry for the salesperson. I don't know. But sure enough, I went to renew my plan. I brought along my wife, and I guess, you know, the salesperson, she must have liked my wife. You know, it's not that we looked cheap or poor. I think we were dressed pretty normal that day. But we were buying the phone. They were checking out. My wife, she got the new, at that time, new iPhone. I think it was the 6. Okay, and everything was good. And all we wanted to do was get the new phone, pay the $200, right? And the lady says, "Oh, by the way, miss, do you have AAA?" My wife says, "Actually, I do." Now our bill is 15% less. But they didn't have to lower the rate to keep me. I'm too lazy to shop around, and I was too dumb not to ask, or too lazy. So they gave away 15%, which I'm happy for, but I would still be a Sprint customer otherwise. Now, what if I hadn't had Sprint? I guarantee you, my wife would have been like saying, "No, I don't have AAA, but what can I do to get that discount anyway? Because you just told me there's a lower rate, and I want a lower rate," because my wife is smart and savvy, and she will negotiate, okay? And probably she would have talked that clerk into at least lowering the price. Once the customer hears there's a lower rate, they're going to fight to get that rate, okay? So do not say, "What are your arrival and departure dates? How many adults and children? How many bedrooms do you need? And do you have AAA, AARP, or any discount programs?" No. It is their job to ask for the lower rate, because if they don't have it, they're going to want to fight you for it. If they do have it, you're giving away rate that you didn't need to. All right. Now, do not routinely ask guests and callers if they have these discounts up front, okay? That will lead to discounting and lead to conflicts. However, when guests object to the initial rate, that's a different story. So going back to my Sprint, if I would have said, "You know, this price for 4 phones, and I've been with you guys 15 years, is just too much. I'm going to T-Mobile." And they would have said, "You know, by the way, sir, do you happen to have AAA?" I hope they wouldn't ask me to have AARP. But do you happen to have AAA? Because we can give you a discount. That is a different story. That would have been a good tactic for them to use. So when you have that guest that says, "All right, thanks, we're going to shop around. But wait, I love this picture. This guy looks like the, but wait, there's more guy, right? And then say, let me check further, okay? So rather than just, now here's where you can say, let me check further. Now, do not just drop the price without saying you have to check further. Then we lose integrity. So we want to say, well, before I let you go, let me check my discounts and promotions field, okay? Now, they do not know, depending on your reservation system, if it's Springer Miller or, I don't know, Opera or some of the other ones out there. Chances are it says the regular rate, it says the AAA rate, it says the AARP rate, it says package rate all in one screen. But they don't know that, do they? So we're going to say, allow me to check further. Well, guess what? You do have to check further. You have to look down at your screen again, right? So we are checking further, and it is the truth. Allow me to check further. And now, once you check further, you want to then say, okay, I found a lower rate for you, Mr. Kennedy, and if I can confirm this for you now, I can offer you a better deal. Yeah, go ahead and lock that in. All right. So do not just say, you know, when you say, okay, the rate's 200, too high. All right, 150. Then the person's going to be like, oh, they dropped to 150. I didn't even work. Let's go lower. Say, you know what, let me check further. Let me check my discounts and promotions field. Then you take the phone, hold it down by your keyboard, press the space bar a few times. Maybe you put the caller on hold, count, you know, sing the Jeopardy song. Do, 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 do. Your boss comes over. What are you doing? Why do you have a caller on hold? Oh, boss, I'm checking with you. Oh, okay. Then you pick up. Oh, you know what? I checked further. I checked with my manager. I looked further. And if we can lock this in now, I can confirm it for you. All right. Now, has this guy called you recently? He has some special requests. All right. So we all get these. Some people want a certain home. Okay. Now, in the vacation rental business, of all the many challenges that you have that are unique and I think more challenging than hotels, one good thing is we actually rent the actual home or condo. In hotels, we rent by category, okay? So depending on how your revenue manager and your marketing team has broken up your inventory, you might be able to confirm them into ocean view or mountain view. But then you have those categories, we probably all have, that you might get that and you might not. So you might have a category. I was just in San Diego last week. One of my clients out there has an marina view room. It might be on the second floor with a vaulted ceiling, but it might be on the first floor without a vaulted ceiling. And then the guest says, oh yeah, last time I stayed there, I want that room with the vaulted ceiling on the second floor. And you have to say, oh, we'll make a note of your request. And a lot of guests are like, okay, fine, whatever. But this guy, he says, whoa, hold on. Why can't you guarantee that request? And you say, oh, well, we'll make a note of your request. Oh, I have traveled all around the world. I have never had this problem before. What do you mean you can't guarantee it? All right. So in this case, we want to say, oh, sir, Mr. Kennedy, we want to be certain here at our hotel, we don't promise you more than we can be certain of delivering. And there's reasons for which we cannot always guarantee your specific location or your specific room number or whatever it is the guy wants. Okay. Now, at this point, he might be going like, oh, okay, I'm good. But once again, a lot of the times he will say he has traveled all around the world. He's never had this problem before. And that's when we fall back to the next statement. We say, well, you know, we'll make a note of your request. Well, we don't want to promise you more than we can be certain of delivering, because a room might go out of order unexpectedly, or a home might go out of inventory unexpectedly. Something bad could happen. Floods, fires, kitchen fires, okay? We are not going to rent you a room that is not in condition to our standards. So we will make a note of your request, but there's reasons we cannot guarantee it, and we would rather tell you up front. Most people at this point will accept this as an explanation and say, all right, well, be sure to note it as a request. All right. Now, oh boy, these are fun. Advanced purchase rates. A couple more tactics for you as we round the corner for our last 5 minutes together. This guy booked the advance purchase non-refundable rate. And the name on the website says advance purchase non-refundable rate. He got his confirmation for his advance purchase non-refundable rate. And what does he do later? He calls to cancel and get a refund, okay? So we do not want to say blame him, nor do we want to blame the company, okay? We do not want to say, oh, sir, you booked an advance purchase rate, non-refundable, okay? And it's clearly our policy. Did you read your confirmation, sir? Which part did you not understand? The advance purchase or the non-refundable, okay? I think they only heard the refundable part of the non-refundable. But do not blame him. Do not blame the company, okay? Do not say, oh, well, you know, to give that kind of a deal, we make the pay in advance. And yeah, I know a lot of times we get these people wanting to cancel and I can't give them the money back. Just let them know this. Oh, sir, we had you confirmed at our Super Saver advanced purchase rate. And this allows us to give those significant discounts to those who are able to confirm plans in advance and to agree to the terms that it can't be changed or canceled. But unfortunately, there are restrictions, okay? So a lot of times this guy knows that it's advanced purchase and non-refundable, but he wants a refund because something came up, all right? Now, I know some of you do have varying degrees of flexibility. It's a lot harder to be flexible if you're in the vacation home rental business where you have the owner of that home or unit and they're logging in every day and say, oh, good, my home is rented. And now you let someone cancel 3 days or 5 days in advance and it's probably not going to sell. That's a hard explanation to give. So you may not be flexible at all. However, sometimes in the resort business, we will let the guests cancel. Maybe you're like, oh, good, because we're oversold. But some people are just nice and they cave in. If you do routinely cave for your callers, okay, and managers, I'm speaking to you, and I'm not judging, I'm just saying, if you normally do when they say, well, my wife's second cousin's best friend's sister is in the hospital and I need to cancel. My dog, she is having surgery. If you are a softie and you're letting them cancel, your company needs to think about change fees, okay? Change fees like airlines have. You know, airlines invented the advanced purchase non-refundable ticket, oh, I don't know, 10, 20 years ago now. But they pretty soon realized that it would make people ballistic and go crazy to complaining. So what they did is they now let you change, but they charge you so much to change, but at least you get something, okay? The last flight I changed was an advanced purchase non-refundable. I think it was about a $259 ticket. The change fee was $200, okay? So they made $200 for allowing me to change it, but at least I got to use $59. All right, so if you are caving routinely, think about that. All right, so we have our last issue. This situation is the caller who has wants a short stay during a period during which there's minimum stays. All right, now again, we have so many clients on the call today. Some of you are hotels and resorts. Maybe you have a 2-night minimum on the weekends, and during Memorial Day or Labor Day you have a 3-night minimum. Some of your vacation home rental companies, you might have a 5-night minimum, or if you're joining us from places like the Outer Banks, you might even have a 7-night minimum. Now, and that generally is the higher the demand, the more you can impose a minimum stay. Good for you. Again, I'm not judging. What I am here today is to help our reservation agents explain this. Now, chances are pretty good if you have a minimum stay, your competitors also have a minimum stay. So let's use that to our advantage. And you want to start with saying, oh, sir, ma'am, just to let you know, that date is Memorial Day weekend. And it's such a popular time to stay at the beach that we do have a minimum stay. Or check-in availability, oh, sir, your dates are over President's Weekend, and that is a great time to ski. And so we have so many guests that want to stay that we actually have a 3-night minimum stay, okay? Are you able to extend your stay? And then what you might find is that they've already shopped around and they're gonna say, yeah, I know, every place I called has that. Or I see online, every place has that. They're not showing anything available when I put in for 2 nights, but if I put in for 3 nights, it's magically available, okay? So first say, are your plans flexible? Are you able to extend your stay? And a lot of times like, oh, you know what, why not? We'll just come back a day later, all right? But then you have the person that says, no, I need to be back Memorial Day. I want to come for Friday and Saturday. But my wife is a doctor and she has to be back in her practice on Monday, back at the hospital on Monday, okay? So we can only stay Friday and Saturday. So if you're in a situation like that and they cannot extend, what you can add is this. Well, the good news, sir, on the last day of your stay, you don't have to worry about that 11 a.m. checkout because you can stay as late as you want. And this way, you know, there is a 3-night minimum, and I know you can't stay till Monday, but if you want to drive back home, you know, Sunday night, you could take showers, you could use the room or use the home all day. Okay, now chances are if they've shopped around and everybody has the same policies you do, probably that's the case, a lot of guests will go ahead and pay for that extra night. Alternatively, you can tell them to put it on the night prior to their arrival, okay? Now, again, not every reservation system is set up to do this, but chances are, if you are empowered, you could say, well, and the guests, let's go back to our scenario. No, I need to come Friday and Saturday because my wife has to be back to the hospital to work on Monday. Okay. Well, the good thing is you can check out late on Sunday. Oh no, we have to leave early Sunday. Okay. Well, what we can do is we can put in the extra night for Thursday night. And then that way, when you arrive Friday early, you can get straight into your room. You can definitely get early check-in. So you could sell the benefit of the paying for the extra night on the front end by having them arrive the night prior, okay? And then of course, if you're empowered, you have to put notes in the remarks field. You have to communicate with your front desk so that they know the guest is actually prepaying for that. All right, so this is how to deal with minimum stays. Well, we've got about 2 minutes over here. I do hope that this has been helpful with the tactics that we've shared. I know Elise is recording the webinar today, and it will go out with a link here as a follow-up to everyone who registered. I hope these tactics and techniques were helpful. I do respect all of you. You have the hardest job today in reservations in the history of lodging because we're selling the most complex rates because of revenue management and because of distribution system tactics. We're able to control rates and do a lot more with them. And we are selling the most complex rates in the history of lodging to the most educated consumers our industry has ever had. So I hope you found it helpful. I do invite you to join our other webinars every other month throughout 2017. If you do want to contact me personally with any questions, comments, thoughts, or if you're interested in any of our KTN services, here's my contact information. We do actually get discounts for mutual clients of the TrackPulse system, and I hope to have brought value. Look for, again, the recording as well as my blog postings at the Track Hospitality Software website. So thank you kindly, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day and also your week, and good luck closing those sales.